Dear participants, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you, and welcome to session 9. I am full of joy this morning because I have the privilege to be your facilitator once again. As you already know from our previous sessions, my name is Elena Rodriguez. I am in Madrid, Spain, and I am a member of the coordinating team of this online course. Today, we are presenting a summary of what we have shared during the past 8 sessions. And with this, we are completing the first module of the Satyasai EHB program, Course 1. Since the beginning of this journey, on the 27th of February, we have been walking together along a path which aims at a better understanding of our true human nature. We have been nurturing the field of our hearts with the nutrients of the philosophy of Satyasai Educare, the 5 human values, and the cultivation of character. And we have heard more about the life, work, and teachings of Satyasai, the founder of this program, and the history of Satyasai education in human values. Today's session is divided in 2 parts. During both parts, we will have a chance to hear the speakers of our team remind us of the most essential points of the topics they presented. Part 1 will go over the first 6 sessions, covering the philosophy of Satyasai Educare and the 5 human values one by one. And then we would like to receive some feedback from you regarding the topics presented in these 6 sessions. Then we will have a 5 minutes break. Part 2 will begin with a guided meditation on the light, followed by the summary of the cultivation of character and the life, work, and teachings of Satyasai. We will also see an overview of how the Satyasai Education in Human Values program is being implemented around the world today. And we'll share some inspiring stories about this with you. At this point, we will once again dedicate some time to listen to your comments and feelings regarding your overall experience and the benefits you have gained from your participation in this online course. Please remember to have your mics and cameras turned off during the presentations until we invite you to turn them on. Now, I would like to invite our dear Jordi Bebedelis to begin our summary with the philosophy of Satyasai Educare. Good morning and welcome, dear George. We are very happy to see you again and looking forward to listening to you.
Good morning, dear Elena. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. Good morning, dear friends. It is indeed my great joy to be once again with you in this beautiful journey through this online course on Satyasai Educare, which is an education for a more meaningful, complete, and happy life. Let us remember what the term educare signifies and how it reflects the core philosophy of Satyasai education. This term contains the double Latin root of the English word education, which is educare, meaning to foster, to nourish, to feed, and educere, to bring out, to educe, to manifest. These two roots, which summarize the process of a complete education, is shown very nicely with the image of a seed which is taken care by fertile soil. The most important aspect we all understand is the aspect of educare, which means to bring out from within the beauty which is already inherent in the seed. Of course, we have to nourish the seed, but if the beauty was not there, nothing can come out. So this, in order to investigate such as education, we have to go deep and see what is within the human heart. What is this that we want to bring out? So this brings us to this fundamental question, know thyself, and takes us back to a great philosopher of the past, Socrates, who is very well known till now for this art of midwifery, as he called it, or meiotic art, which means the art of the midwives, because his mother was also a midwife, and he compared his art with the art of his mother, as we have seen. But at that point, when we spoke about that, and I know that you all are very well aware, and many educators, they use this art, we all know that. But we had emphasized what Socrates himself underlined when he was speaking about his art, that the greatest thing about my art is that it can examine in every way whether the mind of the young man is bringing forth a false image or a real and genuine offspring. So it is not just enough to take out from within. The real art of a good teacher is to examine what comes out. Because in the human heart, there are so many things within, so many different levels. Not everything is good to come out. It's like a field, and then we have an agriculturist who has to cultivate the field. What is his art? His art is not just to allow anything to come out from the soil, but to discriminate what is this which will bring a good fruit, and what is the weed that it will make, create some catastrophe in the crop. In the same way, the good teacher is like a sculptor who has to take away all the negative qualities and keep only the beauty within. So also the art of education can be compared with the art of a sculptor who reveals the inner beauty. But in order to do that, he has to cultivate, to know this art of discrimination, what he has to keep and what he has to take away. This is also underlined from Satya Sai. Today's man's knowledge is vast as an ocean. However, in spite of all his knowledge, man's power of discrimination is zero. What is good and what is bad? What is right and what is wrong? What should be done and what should not be done? This discerning power is zero in man today. That is why humanity has suffered a great decline. The value of humanity depends only on discriminatory power. Man may possess everything, but what is the use if he has no discrimination? So this art of discrimination, which is the art of the good teacher, the art of the good agriculturist, the art of the good sculptor, we don't have to forget this. But the good sculptor will implement this art first with his own image. This is the first duty of the teacher, to create the beautiful statue of himself. That means to bring out what is beautiful from within, from his own heart. And then, by the example, he can guide young men and young children to take out their inner beauty as well. And what is this inner beauty? The 5 human values. And these 5 human values can be compared with a bouquet of 5 beautiful roses. These roses are love, truth, righteousness, peace, and nonviolence. And we had the chance to go through these values through the previous sessions. And now we will, as Elena said, we will have a summary of what was presented during the previous sessions. So let's start with this journey with the value of love. It is my joy and pleasure to invite our dear Raksha. You will remember she presented value of love, to go on with this summary.
Thank you very much, dear George. It's my pleasure to be with everyone again today. And yes, if we move in now into the value of love, as we can see already reflected in this beautiful image, when we talk about love, it embraces all living beings, including animals, plants, and of course, us human beings too. And when we spoke about the value of love, we underlined, as the founder of the program says, love is the undercurrent to all the human values. And we saw the connection of love with, for example, truth. Love in words and thoughts is truth. So when we think with love, when we speak with love, what is reflected is truth. Love in actions is righteousness. So when we act with love, what we express is indeed righteousness. Love in feelings is peace. And finally, love in understanding is non-violence. When we are able to understand our true nature and realize the oneness with everything else, then our attitude in life becomes non-violent. We also asked ourselves what love is, because we speak about love so much in our society, but what exactly is love? We saw love is not a simple emotion. It is not just a simple emotion, because emotions can sometimes be positive, other times we face negative emotions, and love can only bring benefits. It's only positive and always brings joy. So we saw that love is an energy. And in this sense, we also remembered that as science itself states with energy, it is something that is not created or destroyed. It is just transformed constantly. And we could say that love not only is transformed constantly, but it transforms each one of us too. We also saw that love is the natural characteristic of every human being, as referred by the founder too, who always addressed us as embodiments of love. Talking about love, we had a look at the main characteristics of love, some of the distinctive characteristics to understand true love, pure love, universal love. And we saw through this quote, true love has no beginning or end. It exists in all the categories of time, in the past, present, and future. This kind of love, it is this kind of love that can fill man with lasting happiness. So love is universal, it is everlasting, it is changeless. It always existed, exists, and will always exist. We also saw through this example of a tree and even the sun that love is unconditional. It, like this tree, it shares its fruit with everyone, with anyone. It does not discriminate who. And the same way the sun shines for all. We also saw another very key characteristic of love, which is that love lives by giving and forgiving, whilst our ego lives by getting and forgetting. And when we spoke about giving and forgiving, we referred a lot to this forgiveness in our hearts, to not have any negative feelings or resentment towards someone. Of course, in life, we might have to sometimes keep distance or move away from a situation, but in our hearts, we should always have a feeling of respect and forgiveness towards everyone as well. So we spoke a lot about that too. And this links to what we saw with Mother Teresa, that if you judge people, you will not have time to love them. So love is non-judgmental. And finally, we had a look at this beautiful quote from the founder of the program, which somehow helped us connect and remind ourselves where this source of pure love, universal love, stems from. And we spoke about the spiritual heart. In his words, he says, true education is that which originates from the heart. You should rely more on your spiritual heart than on the physical heart. Conscience is another name for the spiritual heart. Keep your heart pure. This should be your main endeavor. Whatever is done with love and purity of heart will confer bliss on you. And our dear Verica, she helped us to dive deeper within this aspect and how we can bring out this source of love. So it is now my pleasure to invite our dear Verica to continue giving us a short summary of the workshop on the value of love. Go ahead, please, dear Verica.
So I want to greet everybody. It is my great pleasure to be with you all again today. And as you may remember, the aim of the workshop on love was entitled, What Makes My Heart Sing? And it had the aim to remind us of the immense source of love and living energy which dwells inside of ourselves, in the center of our hearts. When we relate to this source, we feel inner joy, because we are part of the stream of love and light that flows in this universe. We live our Dharma, that means that we live in a righteous way, which reflects who we truly are, and that makes us immensely happy and fulfilled. This happiness is deep and everlasting because it is tied to human values, the essence of our life. Our talents, our abilities, to make deep relations with other human beings, our dreams and yearnings that have potential to make us whole and noble, all of that originates from this unique source. The problem is that we forget. This workshop also reminded us that when we find out what is the joy of our life, we should make a commitment and focus our life energy to attain the highest goal. As Steve Jobs says, the most important thing in our life is to have the courage to follow our hearts and intuition, because they somehow already know what we truly want to become. I do hope that this workshop reminded you of these important things. And now it is my honor to invite again our dear George to continue with a brief summary of the value of truth.
Hello again. You remember that after the session on love, we made a journey and investigation in truth. And in order to start this investigation, we used the quotation from Satyasai, who defines truth not just with what are the facts that we see, hear, or feel. These are only temporal truths. Facts relate to momentary appearances, whereas truth relates to unchanging reality. It remains the same for all times, past, present, and future. It is not affected by changes in time or place. It is beginningless, eternal, ever-existent. It is the basis and cause of all. So in this quotation, we can see that there are two levels of truth. And these two levels can very nicely be illustrated again with an image of a tree. You see that nature helps us a lot to take images and to learn about the world around us. So the upper part of the tree, what is above the ground, which is seen, we can perceive this with the senses, is compared with the factual truth, which is the topic of investigation of science and physics, while the roots is investigated by spirituality and metaphysics. And again, we had seen this beautiful illustration with a circle, where science is compared with a semicircle because it does not complete the human knowledge. In order to make truth complete, we have to go and venture in the field of spirituality and metaphysics, so we can discover this second level of changeless truth, which is the basis. And while we do that, then we can close the circle and make the knowledge complete. So truth is a fundamental for life, not only for education. That's why great philosophers of the past have spoken about truth. And one of them is Plato. When we want to summarize the teachings of Plato, he has written so many beautiful books. We can say that the essence of his teachings was truth, goodness, and beauty. And in one of his renowned books, very well known, which is Republic, he has defined education as the process which reveals this higher truth. And he explains, like we said before, like Satyasai, like Socrates, that this truth is not without, but we have to search within. Education, he says, is not putting knowledge into a soul which doesn't have it, just as giving sight into eyes that are blind. Because the capacity of knowledge is present in everyone's soul. This is important. Is already present. And just as an eye turns from darkness to light, the soul has to turn away from the world of becoming towards truth. Education should be the art of orientation. Educators should devise the simplest and most effective methods to turn the soul towards the light of goodness. And in order to discover this light of goodness, this changeless truth, we don't have to search outside, but inside. So again, we come back to the maxim, know thyself, which is taught by Socrates till his last moments in the jail, when he was ready to drink the poison. He was teaching to his disciples, know thyself. And he's teaching this to us till now. Because this teaching, like the human values, are eternal. The ideals and values are eternal and stay forever. So our task is indeed to make this deep inquiry into who we are. This is exactly emphasized by Satyasai as well. Many times he has spoken about this, and we have seen in previous presentations that he has defined also that the process of education and the main goal of education is to know who you really are. At this quotation, he defines who we really are. Look at the clouds that wander across the sky. They have no lasting relation with the sky. They just hide it for a few minutes. Such is the relationship between your body and you. You are an immortal soul, and the body is just a temporary passing cloud which covers and hides this truth. You are not just this body, which is limited by time and space. You are eternal, all-knowing, and full of bliss. What a great revelation is this? Because all of us identify ourselves mainly with the body, the mind, this individual personality. But here we learn something very, very, very deep and very high, that we are something more. So this should be the foundation of our life. This we can call self-confidence. The meaning, faith in the higher self, in this divine self, in this changeless self which is within. When we do this, then we can build the walls of self-satisfaction, because we can draw joy and happiness from within. And to build the roof of self-sacrifice, then we can offer, then we can make our life a sacred offering. Because if you remember, we had explained that sacrifice means exactly this, sacra facere in Latin, to make something sacred. So to make our life sacred by loving and serving. Then the sun of self-realization will illuminate our life, and we'll reach the goal. We'll reach happiness, fulfillment of life. So if we want to summarize what is the process of education, connecting with truth, we will see that has these two aspects, which is one is a negative pole of a battery, which is education, which is related with the physical aspect of truth, with the scientific aspect of truth. And then we have the positive pole of the battery, which is educare, which reveals the higher truth about cosmos and about ourselves. Then the light of our life is illuminated, and we have peace, joy, and happiness. Now I would like to call Esma, who made a beautiful workshop about the value of truth in order to make more vivid and to help us come closer to the experience of this higher truth. Please, Esma.
Thank you, George. Hello, everyone. It's joy to be with you again. I will remind you of the workshop In Search of Truth. What truth? Of course, absolute truth. We use the story, The Wise Man's Gift, if you remember well. And the story is about the monks in the monastery that started decaying, seemingly due to the decline of faith. No novices, no visitors coming to it. Therefore, the abbot visited the wise man to ask for advice. Do you remember what his advice was? He said, "One of you is the Messiah, the embodiment of love and truth." If you remember well, this message from the wise man triggered the miraculous change within the monks and the monastery. Believing that the Messiah is in each one of them, made their thoughts, words, and deeds come from their hearts, therefore filled with love, which is our true nature, the expression of our higher self, the absolute truth. And I'm sure you remember what the outcome of searching for truth in the right place is. Their focus on the higher self brought them self-confidence, which George mentioned as well, self-satisfaction. Both led to loving, selfless service to all. And this transformation within them started transforming everything around them, and automatically inspired others to do so too, as it says in the end of the story. Finally, one day, a young man knocked on the door of the monastery. He had heard that there he could find love, truth, goodness, and beauty, and decided to stay. So this is the outcome when you know where to look for the truth, which is within you. And then miracles happen. Thank you. Now I would like to invite our dear Vasiliki. She used to be my teacher, educare teacher, and it's my real pleasure to let her speak about righteousness now. Please go on, Vasiliki. Thank you.
Hello, dear participants, dear friends. I'm happy to be again with you today, and I will present the main points of righteousness. Righteousness is an aspect of a much broader concept for which we often use the Sanskrit term dharma. Various meanings of dharma are universal law, divine order, justice, virtue, ethics, duty, right conduct, and love in action. The whole cosmos is rooted on dharma, with the words of Satya Sai. Dharma is the true nature of anything. For fire, the capacity to burn is its true nature. When it cannot burn, it cannot be fire, just coal. The true nature of sugar is its sweetness. If there is no sweetness, it cannot be sugar, but only sand. The true nature of man is to practice the human values. Practicing what you preach, doing as you say it has to be done, keeping precept and practice in line, earn virtuously, yearn piously. That is righteousness. So the unity and harmony in thought, word, and deed is important. That which is not practiced cannot be righteousness. Observe righteousness by being yourselves, in the words of Satya Sai. And how can we be ourselves? By giving up the false identification with the body and by letting our true nature reveal itself. The true nature reveals itself by right action, that is, to fulfill one's role with excellence, to play the different roles one has been assigned according to the dictates from the higher self, which is also the spiritual heart, the conscience, the inner voice. How to perform our duty with excellence? The first thing is confidence in your higher self, then determination. When you have these two, realization of the goal is within your reach. What is the obstacle that impedes man in doing his duty and performing his role correctly? The real obstacle is one's ignorance of our true nature and our divine reality, thinking we are the body and craving for the fruits of our actions. Here we see a tree that bears its fruits. Nature really gives us the best lessons. The tree does not discriminate whether the fruits will be eaten by man or by birds or will fall on the soil and become fertilizer. It offers to creation what it produces. So the lesson is surrender the fruits of your actions. We see a mountain or a rock. The mountain or the rocks does not change in the environment in which it finds itself. It may rain or it may have sunshine. The mountain stays still, always the same. So be strong and steady like a rock. And finally, when we have to climb, we have to have purity in heart and actions, patience for the right time to come, and perseverance. So don't give up. As we have seen, righteousness teaches us the rules of the game of life. In the words of Satya Sai, life is a game, play it. Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a dream, realize it. Life is love, share it. Now I would like to invite Marianne Meyer to continue with the main points of the value of peace. Marianne, please.
Thank you so much, dear Vasiliki. So the conclusion regarding the final state of peace is that peace is a permanent state of mind which manifests itself as contentment and being mindful. It's based on inner emotional harmony and balance, which we experience when the universal love energy is flowing through our feelings. This will happen when we become non-attached to the turmoil of life, which means to be undisturbed by our mind and emotions. When we are successful in that, it becomes a state of active calmness, where we become fully aware and see things as they are. And this makes us non-judgmental and fully present in the moment. This calm and balanced state of mind where we experience equanimity in any activity is constantly being challenged by life in order to show us that we still have work to do. Then it's time for heart culturing and rediscovering our connection to the spiritual heart by removing that which is blocking for the flow of love. And this is where we need to activate our mindfulness. So learning to accept life in its many forms is a valuable quality that are shaped through repeated actions and refocusing. So making it a habit to strengthen the process towards peace. So the key point in this process is transformation of the mind. To transcend all that which is disturbing us. It may be other beings or forces or what is beyond human control, or even our own body and mind. So the nature of the mind is expansion, to strive for more and more. And the mind has become the seat of anger, fear, envy, and it will be this emotion that controls our heart and our breath. When our breath gets out of rhythm, we lose our contact to our discrimination and our spiritual heart. So therefore we should learn to breathe the feeling of peace. It's allow us to make conscious choices rather than mechanical reactions. If it happens, pause what you are doing, focus on your heart, and imagine that you are drawing in the feeling of patience and calmness, as this creates the energetic environment for love to be present in our communication and our actions. Another way to raise our vibration is to work with our thoughts. Faith in the higher consciousness combined with having good thoughts, this will strengthen our willpower or soul power. And using prayers is another tool to reinforce these good thoughts. And finally, positive thinking as an attitude will strengthen the foundation for peace. A positive outlook makes difficulties meaningful, as it will activate our self-motivation and capacity to connect within. So desires are like bonfire, asking for more and more fuel. I used to say, reduce your desires to reach higher, which will keep our focus on what we want to achieve instead of what we should limit or what we should avoid. And we came finally to the conclusion that we cannot change the world, but we can change ourselves. And through this process, influence and inspire society to live according to the human values. We are all part of society and we co-create it. So having peace of mind on the personal level is a strong factor in creating an environment of love, leading to a non-violent society. But before we come to non-violence, Fabiana will present the workshop of peace. So please, Fabiana.
Thank you, Marianne. Dear friends, I'm very happy to be with you again today. During the workshop on peace, we deepened the aspect of inner peace and experienced it. We observed the beautiful image of a calm lake without waves or ripples. Everything was peaceful. It is very important to develop habits to calm emotions, release tension, create stillness in our mind, to have access to a state of silence and inner peace. Do you remember? Our heart is like a calm lake. What practice helped us cultivate the seeds of peace in our hearts? We focused on our breathing and our heart, connecting with a space of inner silence. We shared this inner experience in small groups. Each group then spread the seed of peace to the whole world. Now, Esther Chris will continue with a nice summary on the value of non-violence.
Thank you, dear Fabiana. And I'm very happy to be with all of you once again. And the main points of that value were those three. First of all, we have to refrain from harming not only others, but also ourselves with thoughts, words, or deeds. The second point was to take actions to alleviate suffering. Each time we are able to help somebody, we have to do that. And the third one is that love in understanding is nonviolence. What it means is that there is a current that unifies everything, that unites and ties all together. And when we understand that, we cannot be violent. So, how can we avoid to be violent? First of all, we have to think that we have to know where does violence come from. And it comes from two parts. One is the selfish disposition that we have against others. And the second one is that we have inside us lots of inner enemies that has to be controlled, has to be overcome. Those are the two sources of violence. And how can we overcome them? Well, the first of all is to be aware of the way we are using our senses, because everything that enters into the senses will nourish this conscious mind, and then will be forever stored in our subconscious mind. When we behave in a daily life without having paying attention of what enters into our senses, well, we can commit mistakes. But there is a way to overcome that, and the way is to pause and be silent. Because if we wish to really be silent, there is like a key that opens the door of our superconscious mind, the abode of the 5 human values. And from then, we can nourish this lower mind that is composed only by the conscious and subconscious mind. In this way, we have to remind that we have to conquer our lower mind with our higher mind. And now, we also talked during the presentation of nonviolence about this metaphor of the beautiful tree that represents in the truths that we can be anchored in truths. When we are there, very anchored in truth, it means that we know who we really are. And from there, only good actions can come out. This is like the trunk, we are right. And then we feel this inner peace permanently. Those are like the leaves of the tree. So we are able to spread unconditional love because we are feeling so connected and in peace. Those are like the flowers of that tree. And finally, awakening to non-violence are the fruits of that beautiful tree. Because non-violence is the art of being aware, and it's a natural result of our maturity. There is a way to conclude this little brief about the non-violence, and this is a sentence from Satya Sai, the founder of the program. The best expression of non-violence is this quotation. He says, "Love all, serve all." And this has to be with the first slide I show you today, and this how we have to avoid the suffering of people, to help the persons and to serve them. And the second part of this quotation is help ever, hurt never. Refrain from harming. This is how we can conquer finally all those 5, 6 inner enemies and more, transform them into values that we can really show in our daily life, becoming non-violence as a result of our process of maturity. And now it's my pleasure to invite again Elena to continue with the presentation of this session. Elena, please come in.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Esther, Chris. You have done a beautiful and very uplifting reminder of the value of nonviolence. Thank you to you and to each one of the members of the team of speakers who have participated in this part for the touching and heartening essential messages and images that you have chosen. Hello again to every one of you. Thank you for being here again. We will listen to more people after this part when the feedback of the second part comes reality. And then I know we have to listen to some people who wanted to speak before and couldn't be attended, but they will have the opportunity a little bit later. So welcome to the second part of this session 9. We are going to start this part with a guided meditation on the light. And this is going to be done by a member of our team who you have not met yet. She is Varsha Chainani, and she lives in Valencia, Spain. Varsha is a certified Hatha Yoga teacher. She is an instructor in meditation and has been in charge of meditation workshops in the Spanish National Organization for the Blind for adult members of that organization for 3 years. She has been a teacher of English for adults and children, individually and in groups, in an academy of English as a foreign language for 20 years. She is a Satya Sai EHV teacher since 2001 and a trainer of the Institute of Satya Sai Education of South Europe in Spain since 2009. Varsha is a visually challenged person But this circumstance has not been an obstacle for her to continue on her journey in Satyasai education in human values. Good morning, dear Varsha. We are very privileged to have you here, and we are ready to listen to you now.
Good morning, dear Elena. Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction. Hello, dear friends. It is a pleasure for me to be here and a great honor to present a short meditation on the light as recommended by Satyasai, the founder of this program. All you have to do is follow and flow with the instructions and words. So let's start by sitting comfortably. It is very important to have the back straight, hands on the laps loosely, and no tension in the body, the chin slightly down. Now tighten the muscles of your body from the toes to the top of the head. Make it tighter, 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 and let go. Breathe in deeply, filling your body up like a balloon. And exhale all the stress. Breathe in again the energy. And exhale all the emotions. Breathe in again the pure energy. And exhale all the fears. Now focus on the flame that you can see on your screens. And very slowly, close your eyes and visualize this flame in the center of your forehead, in between the eyebrows. This light is of pure energy, radiant, brilliant. And it always helps us in every situation in life. Slowly expand this light down to the heart, where there's a lotus flower. When the light touches, the flower opens petal by petal. Love, truth, righteousness, peace, and non-violence, and the heart is filled with the light, the pure energy. Slowly expand this light to the shoulders, arms, and to the hands. And the hands are filled with the light of energy. Feel the warmth of the light in the hands. And we ask for energy that may these hands always help, never hurt. Slowly now expand the light again from the shoulders down the back, legs to the feet. And the feet are filled with the light of energy. We feel the warmth of the light in the feet. And we ask for energy that may these feet be always guided in the right directions. Slowly now, expand the light upwards along the legs, knees, thighs, abdomen, chest, neck to the mouth. And the mouth is filled with the light of energy. And we ask for energy that we may always eat and drink healthy things, speak softly, gently, kindly with everyone. We spread it now to the ears, and the ears are filled with the light of energy. And we ask for energy that we may listen with tolerance and patience. Slowly now expand it to the eyes, and the eyes are filled with the light of energy. And we ask for energy that we may always look at everyone with compassion, empathy, and equally. Now slowly take the light to the head, and the head is filled with the light of energy. And we ask for energy that we may have positive thoughts, take wise decisions. So now the whole body and every cell in our body is illuminated with the pure, radiant, bright light. Very slowly now expand it to all of us here on this platform, to our mothers, fathers, family members, teachers, friends, companions, colleagues, people we meet with in our daily lives, even to the people who misbehave with us. We send a lot of light to these people. And we send the light to all the living, non-living beings and things, plants, animals, the rocks, mountains, ocean, the sky, the whole world, the whole planet, the universe. We send the light further and further away up to infinity. I am in the light. The light is in me. I am the light. And this light is present in everyone and everything. Now I will request you to take 5 deep, rhythmic, very natural breaths. Inhaling, filling your lungs. And exhale, using your abdomen. Continue this breathing. And each time you inhale, dive deeper and deeper within. Experience the silence and enjoy it. And now very slowly bring the light back, down towards you. Bring it back down to the heart, where we leave it there like a little flame. And now we will continue with the summaries. Over to you, Elena. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Varsha. Thank you so much for contributing to improving our awareness and inner silence so nicely. And now we are going to continue with the synthesis prepared by Suzanne on the cultivation of character. Welcome, dear Suzanne.
Thank you very much, Elena, and hello and good morning to everyone. So I'm sure that you remember that during our session dedicated to the cultivation of character, we emphasized very much how character is something that we build. And it is based on our moral principles and values. So we stress that human values are the foundation of a good character. However, if we do not practice the values, they remain like seeds that are sleeping in the soil of our heart. So we really need to practice them so that these seeds may sprout and blossom. So this means that character is the measure of how embedded human values are in our personality. It is the measure of our practice. And we know that as we do practice human values, we see that they become more and more integrated in our lives. And this is why we say that a good character shines in virtue. To paraphrase the founder of the program, Satya Sai, we also saw during the presentation that a good character is like the string on a kite. Now, if we do not have a string on the kite, we all know that the kite would just fly anywhere at random. We would have no control, no way to direct it. So we need to build this string, this inner axis, which is character. And we saw that this confers stability, nobility, and ability. Because by building our character, we tune in and we learn to connect more and more to our inner self, our conscience, our higher self, and our loving heart. And this reinforces our inner structure, our inner dimension with human values. And as this happens, we become more and more able. It is not a capability, it's a natural ability to express this essence, this true fragrance, which we saw last time. It's the fragrance of the flower, which is character. So character is connected, of course, to all human values. And how do we do this? We saw that we need to build good habits that can foster our character. And we went through a story, which I'm sure you all remember, of the missing piece that meets the big O, and our triangle, our missing piece that has three very sharp corners that are not really coordinated among them. So what does it do? It learns to unify these sharp corners. And what do they represent? Our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So it's very, very important, we saw this, to really create that pause before we act and to take our thoughts to our heart, to see whether our heart approves, which of course the heart is where all human values reside. So if the heart approves, then we act on them. And of course, this is a process that we repeat over and over, and it turns into very, very good habit. And this molds our character. But we need to be ready to take the thought back when the heart does not approve, to take it back, to work on it, to investigate, inquire, and refine it and uplift it. And through this process, we build unity between thought, words, and actions, and we create these connections within ourselves that are so fundamental and important that, as you remember, I'm sure helps us become a big O, helps us unify and build deep integrity and cohesion, consistency, and coherency. So character, we have seen, is the end of education. And as we cultivate character together as a collective process, it uplifts us and elevates so we can really change the world. What do we have to do? We have to watch. It is as easy as that. We have to watch our character, which means that we need to watch and be very attentive that our words, actions, and thoughts are aligned and coordinated and unified with one another, and mostly that they are rooted in love, which we know is the undercurrent of all human values. So now I'd like to invite Jordi to continue this summary on the cultivation of character. And thank you very much, Jordi.
Thank you very much, dear Suzanne. We have understood very well the meaning of character, what it is. Now, if we want to cultivate it, this is not an immediate process. We have to do it step by step. It is slow, but it is sure. First of all, we have to understand what it is. What is character? And Suzanne has explained very well that it is to impersonate the human values. But it has to be at all times, under all circumstances. And to that end, remember that we reviewed the human values, each one by one. But when we reached love, Raksha said something extraordinary. She said that love in words and thoughts is truth, love in action is righteousness, love in feelings is peace, love in understanding is non-violence. What is common there? All values have love in common. This means that actually character is love. And love means the heart. So character lies in the heart. We have another definition of character, which would be that character is to filter all thoughts, actions, emotions, and relations through a steady, loving heart. At that time, we know that if we do that, we are going to grow a good character. But that is a path that we have to start in order to advance towards this steady, loving heart. This path starts by knowing our inner enemies. We must be aware of our negative tendencies. We have them, and we know, each one knows his own or her own weakness. So first, we know this, and then we try to strengthen our character. How? Through constant repetition of a certain practice that will correct our negative tendency and will reinforce our positive tendencies. Do you remember how many times we had to repeat something in order to become a habit? It was 21 times. 21 is not much, but you do it for 21 days. You repeat that which you want to do, and it will become a habit. We were saying this 1 month ago. 1 month ago. So if you started the procedure in which, for instance, you started a diary, and you measure your progress, then already by now, you should be in a position to say, I have acquired a positive habit, because it's more than 21 days that I do what I wanted. And so you carry a diary. And in the breakout rooms, you will also remember that we decided to develop, to decide which of these habits we had to develop, these positive habits. If we have been very orderly, now we should have reached our success, and we should have a slightly better character on the path to a perfect character. If we took the resolution at that time, 1 month ago, to become our self-leader forever. And now, if you like this program, I think that you will be delighted to hear about its founder. Let's listen to our beloved Brigitte Kashtan, who is going to make a summary of the life, work, and teachings of Sekulic. Brigitte, please.
Thank you, dear Jordi. Happy to be here again with you all. Now comes the time to indeed summarize briefly what we said during the last session about the founder of this program, his life, his more universal teachings, and his work. So as we said last time, Satya Sai Baba is a highly revered spiritual leader and world teacher. He has inspired millions of people throughout the world to realize our true divine nature and to lead more spiritual, purposeful, and moral lives. His universal teachings and his natural love for all have been attracting seekers of truth from all walks of life. And he spent his entire life in compassionate activities for the upliftment of humanity. About his life, as we say, Satya Sai Baba was born in 1926 in a very small village called Puttaparthi in the state of Andhra Pradesh in South India. He lived there until the end of his life in 2011. Already as a small child, he demonstrated rare qualities of compassion towards all living beings. At the age of 14, Satya Sai made a historic declaration to his family. He said that he had come to this world with a mission to re-establish the principle of righteousness, to motivate love for God and service to fellow men. 7 years later, when he was 20, in a letter to his elder brother, he explained more about his mission and work. And he wrote, "I have a task to foster all mankind and ensure for all of them lives full of bliss. I have a vow to lead all who stray away from the right path again into goodness and save them. I am attached to a work that I love, to remove the sufferings of the poor and grant them what they lack." And indeed, this is exactly what he has done until the end of his life, and he's still inspiring so many people to go on with that. The next quote reflects very clearly his mission, which is indeed to benefit the whole of mankind. He said, "I have come to light the lamp of love in your hearts, to see that it shines day by day with added luster. I have not come to speak on behalf of any particular religion." And the last sentence says, "I have come to tell you about this unitary faith, this divine principle, this path of love, this duty of love, this obligation to love." About his universal teaching, we saw that it is possible to summarize them into 5 main points among the ocean of wisdom and knowledge that Satya Sai Baba has offered during all the thousands and thousands of discourses and all the articles that he wrote. So the first point is know thyself, which we now heard about again in the value of truth. The second point are the 5 human values, which are so beautifully summarized here. And then the program of sealing on desires. Satya Sai advised us not to waste food, money, time, nor energy, as we know that happiness lies inside of us, not outside in outer desires. Satya Sai talked a lot about the principle of unity in many fields, at the individual level, as we saw, the unity of head, heart, and hands. Now we talk more about the unity at the level of society, of faith. Satya Sai said there is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one race, the race of humanity. There is only one language, the language of the heart. And there is only one God, and he is omnipresent. Indeed, Satya Sai said repeatedly that there is only one God, even if he is called by many names. The 5th point is love all, serve all, and we heard about it just also very beautifully summarized. Satya Sai also said that at the end of our life, when you look back in time, said, the only thing that will really matter is how much love you shared with all creation in every moment of your life. Not only human beings, but all beings and nature in creation. So we saw that Satya Sai dedicated his whole life to selfless service. He demonstrated how to render selfless service through his own personal example. He spent his entire life in compassionate activities for the upliftment of humanity. And we saw that we can summarize this activity into 4 fields. One is education, educare. The other one is Medicare, medical care. The third one is social care, care for providing the basic human needs to people, animals again, and nature. And envirocare, the care for nature as an environment that can be also implemented from all the values that we talked about, especially non-violence and love for all. Satyasai said that the expression of divine love should not be confined to human beings, but should be extended to all beings. And that pure, unselfish love towards all living beings considered as embodiments of the divine, with no expectation of reward, this is true love. And we'll just end with the topic of be happy. This is Satyasai's message, because if we understand all what we have been talking about, and if we implement all what he has advised us, if we experience the message of unity with all that is, then only love will be left, love and bliss. Love that only expands to more and more people, more and more living beings. So Satyasai Baba's life was his message. By living his message and putting his teachings into practice, we can get transformed and help the world around us to transform by our own living example. And now we have the pleasure to see and hear again Raksha as she presents the topic of Satyasai education in human values around the world. Thank you, Raksha.
Thank you very much, dear Brigitte. So as you all may remember, last time we saw a brief history of ISSE-SE, including the establishment of Satyasai schools, colleges, and the university in India. We also saw the blossoming of Satyasai schools around the world. And let us recall that all educational institutions that bear the name Satyasai offer education free of charge, and they are run through voluntary donations. It is worthwhile mentioning that apart from the Satyasai schools around the globe, there are partnership schools that adopt the ISSE-SE program, also teachers who apply it at an individual level in their classrooms. There are also community programs, workshops, and talks offered to various audiences that integrate the fundamental principles of Satyasai educare. Today, we are going to share a glimpse of some inspiring stories of ISSE-SE around the world. Let us begin with India. In March 2003, out of thousands of Indian colleges and universities, the Sri Satyasai Institute of Higher Learning, deemed university, was granted the certificate of accreditation at the A++ level, given by the Assessment and Accreditation Council of India. The report stated, "This institute stands out as a crest jewel among the education system in the country, and this model is worthy of emulation by the institutes of higher learning in the country and elsewhere." And just as a nice additional note, our dear Vasiliki, George, and Jordi have been invited on different occasions and have had the great honor to give specific lectures at this precious university. Now, taking a journey around the globe, the first two Satyasai schools that were established outside India were the schools in Zambia and in Thailand in the years 1992 and 1996, respectively. Both schools have been a meaningful, exemplary reference for ISSE-SE educators around the world and models to follow. Actually, being one of the first countries outside India to have both a Satyasai Institute and school, many teachers like our dear Elena and Varsha traveled and have been trained in the program through the Institute of Thailand and have had the pleasure to see ISSE-SE fully in action in the ISSE-SE school there. The Institute of Thailand has also worked with the Ministry of Education to introduce ISSE-SE to teachers and educators, both nationally and internationally. Here we can see late Dr. Victor Kanu and his wife, as well as Dr. Art Ong Jumsai, the founders of these two precious schools, pioneers of ISSE-SE around the world. I would now like to share an inspiring story about one of the ISSE-SE schools in Ecuador that is very dear to my heart. On the 4 occasions I have had the chance to visit both schools in this country, I have experienced the love and gratitude present in the heart of the students and teachers. Here, as you can see, I had the honor to give some students a human values lesson, and their level of attention, their respect, and exemplary behavior impressed me from the very start until the end. In April 2016, a terrible earthquake happened in Manabí and severely affected the small city of Bahía de Caracas. The ISSE-SE school was established in this city in 2001. After the earthquake, the school opened just like a lotus flower to the community. Classrooms became active dormitories and dining rooms. The school became a collection and distribution center for donations of water, food, mattresses, clothes, medicines, etc. 3 teachers and the families of 3 students even lost their homes. However, they received new homes through the voluntary donations of the ISSE-SE school. So as we can see, disasters bring challenges and suffering. However, they also bring the opportunity for the flow of love and compassion. Doubtlessly, the ISSE-SE school of Bahía de Caracas has been a ray of light in its local community over the past 2 decades. Its example attracted the interest of the Ministry of Education, which led to the Institute of Ecuador with the cooperation of the Institute of Colombia, of which our dear Esther Cris is one of the co-founders. Well, both ISSEs worked collaboratively with the ministry to establish a National Council of Human Values. The institutes and the Ministry of Education conducted the first ever conference in the country on education in human values in October 2019. Afterwards, 3 further joint conferences on education and human values have taken place, this time online due to the pandemic. This has facilitated thousands of teachers all over Latin America to participate. I had the privilege to participate in the 3rd conference on the topic of integral education for childhood. The next uplifting example is very unique, and it shows how people inspired by the ISSE-SE program can creatively apply it in different contexts. In New York in 2005, in a county jail, 3HV, that is to say head, heart, hands, was introduced to prisoners from different age groups with the aim of making them reflect on their lives, the decisions they had made, and how they too can transform themselves. The correctional officer and the counselor participated in this project with excellent results. A graduation event was organized for the prisoners, and a compilation of their touching write-ups was distributed to each one of them after a special graduation ceremony. Isn't that so beautiful? And now just a few more ISSE-SE activities around the world. Here we can see our dear Verica giving an ISSE-SE class to children in Belgrade, Serbia. And here an example of a parenting workshop in Kenya, as parents indeed are the other main pillar of a child's education. This is why the ISSE-SE program offers parenting workshops too. And here in Athens, Greece, we see a human values public seminar for the local community with our dear Vasiliki. Also, a walk for values organized in Fiji. And let us see how ISSE-SE can be applied in other fields too. For example, here an ISSE-SE conference on management and leadership that took place in Milan, Italy on 2 occasions. As you can see, George and Vasiliki were present. Furthermore, in Africa, a governmental initiative through the United Nations utilizes ISSE-SE to promote value-based water, sanitation, and hygiene education. This project is also extended to the Southeastern Asian countries. And before finalizing, I would like to mention the ISSE-SE school in Zambia once again. Educationalists from the Zambian government investigated and ended up calling it a miracle school. The school was awarded with the International Gold Star Award for Quality and Excellence in Education at an international event in Paris in 2005. Previously, an article describing the success of the school was written in the Times of Zambia newspaper in 1999. I would like to read a meaningful extract written by an external school inspector from the report of evaluation of the ISSE-SE school that very nicely reflects the key objectives of ISSE-SE Educare. The report stated, 3 things came up clearly in the findings, especially from the interviews: character excellence, academic excellence, and spiritual and moral excellence. The school at present recruits pupils who fail to secure places in the public school system. These pupils were bullies, rebellious, and stubborn. Today, they have completely changed for the better. They have become disciplined and have developed respect for teachers and elders. They also offer voluntary service to the school. So the integration of the 5 human values in the curriculum has had a positive impact on the pupils, both spiritually and morally. This actually takes us back to the key principles and objectives of ISSE-SE Educare, which we saw together in our first session. Put in an even simpler manner, the key characteristics of ISSE-SE are that it has an inward approach and spiritual perspective. It promotes a holistic development of the human personality. It is experiential, transformational, and a lifelong process. And its main objective is to know thyself. Because once again, only when we are able to know ourselves and manifest who we truly are, then we will see a transformation in the individual, which is also reflected in the family, in our societies, in our countries, and ultimately in the world. So it all begins with ourselves. I would like to thank you all for accompanying me on this journey we have shared together, traveling through a short glimpse of ISSE-SE education in human values around the world. Thank you, and back to you, dear Elena. Thank you.
Thank you, Raksha. Thank you very much for this edifying and fulfilling overview of the ISSE-SE education in human values around the world. It is now my pleasure to invite George Bebedelis again. So please, George.
At this point, I think you are all sharing the joy that we all feel as we completed the summary of this module, and we see how many things we went through during this journey of 4 months, and how so many educators around the world has been inspired and implement in various circumstances this program. I think as we come to a close of this module, at this point it will be appropriate, before we call you, dear participants and friends, to give us your feedback, but I think it is appropriate first to introduce the group that has worked together for for realizing this beautiful online course. It is indeed with dedication, enthusiasm, and joy that this group worked together all this time. We had regular meetings in order to arrange and to put in order in all this material to make this possible, which for us was also a new experience to use this online technology to make it possible during this difficult period to communicate the treasure of human values to everybody. So this group consists of 14 educators from various countries of our institute. You already know most of them, but now I think it is good to see all of our group together. So I will call everybody, my dear colleagues, in the order of the presentations and workshops of this module. So first, I will call again Raksha Mahtani from Spain. You can open your camera again. Thank you for your valuable contribution as all the members of the group. Now, next, Verica, Sekulic, Opasic from Serbia, a very senior educator. We have met so many times in Serbia, in Belgrade, in other places. We have conducted seminars, and now we're together through this means. Esma Gadzo-Bursic from Croatia. We also have met in Croatia. She's a very senior and dedicated educator there in human values. Vasiliki Stefanides from Greece. I would say she's also one of the pioneers. We mentioned some names. In these names, we may add also Vasiliki, because at least in Greece, she was the first who introduced the human values program. I was a student at that time of Vasiliki in the first group of educators. Fabiana Laruccia from Italy, a really dedicated educator also, and talented. Her mother is also a teacher, and she has, this is, I think, meaningful. And we see good teachers coming from parents that are teachers. Esther Puentes from Colombia. We are lucky that now she lives in Switzerland, so she's a member with a great, rich experience. You heard that she's one of the co-founders of the Institute of Colombia. Now she's in our institute. Suzanne Palermo Karenini, also from Switzerland. And we enjoyed very much all the work that she has presented by Suzanne. She's also very senior, all of this group. Jordi Griera from Spain. Thank you, Jordi, for your contribution. Brigitte Kashtan from Israel. You met already today Varsha Chainani from Spain, who led the meditation on light. And there are, of course, Elena, who is our dear master of ceremony, MC, for today and the other sessions. I think he's the best choice. Also a very dedicated educator. You heard that she was together with Varsha, she was a educated in the Satyasai school in Thailand. We have two more members that you have not met. One of them is Ines Loeliger from Switzerland. So I would like Ines, since you have not seen her again, to share a few words with all of you.
Thank you, dear George. Good morning, dear participants. Sorry. You are interested, exceptional listeners. I have experienced your heartfelt commitment. Thank you for this. I'm also happy because you will be continuing to practice human values. We all form a network now. We are one family connected by the human values. Isn't this wonderful? You are lighthouses for me, shining brightly with the current of love. I thank you very much. The children I am teaching human values are lighthouses too. I've been involved in Satyasai education in human values for many years now. What I have seen is how it helps children bring forth and express their inner talents and build a strong connection with the deeper part of themselves. And this is true for us adults too. Because Sai Baba is the initiator of this program on education in human values, and my beloved teacher, I thank him especially in reverence. Just a moment, George. And my humble thanks also go to my devoted colleagues from the team, for all of them. Thank you. They have made this wonderful inner journey with Course One possible. Thank you. Please, George.
Thank you, Ines. Thank you. And as a last member, I would like to call Cinzia Patrizia Lutti from Italy. Many of you present in our course, I know that you know Cinzia very well, how dedicated she is in this noble cause of human values. Please, Cinzia, if you want to share a few thoughts.
Yeah, yes. Sorry for bells. Just is 12 o'clock is bell near my home. Sorry. Hi,
But
everybody.
This is good to hear the bell ringing. This is a good sign.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. Just a few words to say I'm very happy to be here and to be a part of this beautiful team. I'm honored to spread human values to children in my life for over 17 years. I feel the human values are so important in today's world. Dear friends on the human value route, thank you for being here and thank you for believing them.
Thank you, Cinzia. And I know that time is already 12, but I think we can take some more time for this last session. And I would like to thank a lot very special guest in our group who contributed to this course, who is Marianne Meyer. Marianne Meyer is, as already you know, and it was presented, one of the first people who worked for Satyasai education in Europe. Is actually the wife of the late Torbjörn Meyer, who was the founder of the first institute, not only in Europe, but in the world, the ISSE Institute. This was established in 1987. And Vasiliki and I have been faculty members of this institute for many years. And I had the unique privilege to work very closely with Torbjörn and Marianne in human values seminars for so many years. So it is really a great joy that Marianne is with us. So I will ask her to say a few concluding remarks. since he supported us and advised us in this online course. Please, Marianne.
Thank you so much, George. It's really, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be with you again. It has been a great inspiration and activating all the beautiful moments and memories of the past. It really gives joy when you can keep this connection, this heart connection alive. And now we are coming to the session, module 1, it's coming to an end. But as we have already heard, it came to an end with a lot of inspiration to dive even deeper into the values through and then activated through a more conscious value-based life. And this is really the meaning of what we are doing. So it's not just listening, but it is taking it to our heart and implement it into our daily lives. And as we also just talked about, that due to the pandemic, we had to meet online instead of having physical interaction and experience the beautiful vibrations of heart-to-heart connections. But from the feedback we got here, it showed that the message itself is so strong that we all somehow have benefited from listening to the wonderful teaching of Satyasai, which was so beautifully brought forward by these beautiful dedicated members of the South European Institute. And I'm sure it will stay in our hearts forever. And the pandemic maybe has been a blessing in disguise because it pushed us into using a tool which was not very common to us before in the past. But I'm sure that this will be the way that we spread the message of Sai and we stay connected. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much, dear Marianne. And of course, my thanks, I'm sure, are from the heart of the members of all our team, because we all know you, we all have participated in seminars in physical level with you as one of the most senior educators. So thank you very much for being with us and for your inspiring words. Now we'll now request Elena to close the session and let us know what is next. Once again, I would like to extend my love to all of you, dear participants, friends. It was indeed a wonderful journey on the sacred path of Satyasai Educare during these 4 months, which gave us a lot of love, peace, and joy. I'm looking forward to continue this adventure after the summer break. So Elena, please.
Okay. First of all, thank you also for you, to you, Marianne and George, for sharing with all of us the beauty of your character and for your noble commitment with the cultivation and blossoming of Satyasai Educare in Europe. And to all of the team, who we are all like a flock of geese that we are flying and helping each other, flying in cooperation, taking the lead, and then letting other people to take the lead, to delegate one to each other, to help each other all the time. So that's the real success of all this, that we are working as a team. And this team is, as you said, full of enthusiasm and joy and heartfelt commitment. So now I'm going to tell you that the adventure will continue, because of course we have finished the first module of the course 1. And so we have 2 more modules in this course. We have already planned to begin module 2 on Saturday, October the 2nd, with the same frequency of 1 session every other Saturday. You will receive the program with the contents and the dates of the sessions at the beginning of September. And we will see that it will highlight practical ways to promote and teach the practice of human values in all educational and social contexts. we will learn the different techniques that can help us to develop more and more the practice in the everyday life, in every minute of our everyday life. And this is really the way that we can transform our character with something practical that we can use easily at home, at work, or wherever we are, in the school, of course, with children. That is the greatest opportunity. And in the meantime, we recommend to remember to practice the 3H circuit, the 3H circuit, head, heart, and hands circuit, and the 5 human values, because it is easy, because as Satya Sai says, and also someone has reminded us a few minutes ago, like the 5 fingers of the hand, the 5 human values are intimately related. They are interdependent, and they cannot act without the participation of the others. We have to hold the glass. We cannot hold it only with 1 finger. We need to hold it with the 5 fingers. So remember that we need the 5 fingers, and every human values is related to the rest of them. So when we practice one of them, the rest will be practiced as well. That Satya Sai explained this very, very easily in many of his discourses. And now, as you know, in every celebration, today we celebrate the conclusion of this wonderful journey. In every celebration, the music is essential. So to finish this part of the course, we are going to listen and to accompany a very meaningful song that Suzanne has composed and recorded. We will be able to follow her by reading the lyrics on the screen, but we need to keep our mics closed, otherwise we cannot hear it properly. But we can follow them from our own places. But before this, I would like to invite again all of you to open your cameras and say goodbye to each other. And after that, we will listen to Suzanne's beautiful song. Thank you.
Good job. Wonderful job.
You can listen to the song now, and we are going to have slides with the lyrics so that we all can sing it at home without the mics closed, please.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then we will learn it and sing it during the summer.